Time for the Verizon Speed Round, brought to you by Verizon 5G. All right, Peter, let's get into it. And we're talking now about, we're talking now about coaching vacancies. Who do you think is the first team to hire a coach, and who do you think the first coach hired will be?
I think the first team to hire a coach is probably going to be the Atlanta Falcons. And as for who they're going to hire, I don't have a great feel. I think that my biggest feel, I think there's going to be a bit of a race. If the Atlanta Falcons hire, let's say, Terry Fontenot of the Saints as their GM, and I know they like Terry Fontenot, but if they hire him, I mean, my gut feeling is he's going to cast a wide net for the people that he knows and that the Falcons know. And in my opinion, I think one of the guys they're going to be very interested in is Arthur Smith. Because I think Arthur Smith has become a favorite, and not just because he really knows offense. I think people look at his history and look at his connection to Joe Gibbs when he was on that Washington staff, learning from Gibbs and Bugle and all the old classic Washington coaches. Just my absolute gut feeling, especially if they settle on, let's say, Terry Fontenot.
The Arthur Smith angle is fascinating to me because the last thing he needs to worry about is making huge money. For a lot of these guys, it's the culmination of a career in football, right? And a lot of these guys come from nothing. They have an obsession. They work at it, and they work at it, and they work at it. I mean, I'm here in coal mining country. We've given rise to Nick Saban, Rich Rodriguez, Jimbo Fisher. This is your way out, and you climb to the top of the mountain. Financially, Arthur Smith, born on the top of the mountain. His dad founded FedEx.
Yeah.
So he can wait. He can be selective. He doesn't need to say, I've reached my pot of gold. He already has the pot of gold. His decision is going to be driven by factors that, while present for other coaching candidates, they're not going to have to box out this urgency to go get paid. You know, I think sometimes guys will take jobs with bad teams just because they want to get that big contract. Arthur Smith is a guy who won't have that on the table. And it may make him more selective, Peter, about where he goes for his first NFL head coaching job.
But you also have to consider the fact that sometimes you're the hot guy. And then, look, I don't expect this to happen, but Tennessee goes 7-9 next year. All of a sudden, Arthur Smith's not the hot guy. And so sometimes your window is short. Look at Josh McDaniels. You don't hear him mentioned for many of these jobs at all now. And, you know, look, we could discuss Josh McDaniels, I'm sure, for an entire segment. But the point is, sometimes you have to strike while the iron's hot. I'm not saying the iron will never be hotter for Arthur Smith, but the iron's pretty hot right now. And, you know, I think he has to survey the landscape. And in surveying the landscape, he has to decide. Only he's going to know. He and his agent are going to be able to understand, you know, if some team is leaning toward, let's say, Robert Saleh. This team is leaning toward Eric Bieniemy. He said, listen, I want to get one of these musical chairs before the music stops.
I think the first guy hired is going to be Urban Meyer by the Jacksonville Jaguars. NFL media reported that he is meeting with the Jaguars today. He's been talking way too much to people about potential coaching staff additions and also general managers that Meyer would hire if he takes the job. If the meeting with Shad Khan goes well and the money is in the range where it needs to be, and I was told earlier this week it's $12 million a year, and then there was a report saying that that's false or something like that. Well, that means he ain't getting $12 million a year. Will he take whatever he can get? We'll see. But I think there's a chance if everything works out financially and just fit and feel, and he's ready to do it, he could be the first one to go. Let's continue through the speed round brought to you by Verizon.
Can I ask you one
Built
thing,
right.
Mike, before we move on? Mike, I want to ask you one thing before we move on. What do you think of my skepticism about Urban Meyer? skepticism born of quitting coaching at age 45, 46, and 54, 3 different times, never having a losing season at any level of college football, and knowing that, this is a team that's won 25% of its games over the last 3 years. And I'd say finally, what makes him different from Nick Saban in Miami, where he might be 2 years into it or 3 years into it, even though he's got his quarterback? It's been proven over the years that even a quarterback you're not going to start winning immediately. How's he going to take losing? And is he going to get sick of it at some point sooner than Jacksonville might think?
When the reports first emerged that multiple teams were doing their homework on Urban Meyer, I found a podcast involving Chris Spielman, now special advisor to Lions owner Sheila Ford Hamp. And Spielman was talking about Meyer's angst and his torment the last year at Ohio State when he fell to his knees and people were saying it's health issues. And I wrote an item and quoted extensively what Spielman had to say. And I think, reading between the lines, I think Spielman understands that Urban Meyer will not be able to handle it in the NFL. He won't be able to handle the agony of defeat. He won't be able to handle the torment and the frustration and everything that goes along with dealing with being the coach of a team that isn't dominant. And that's why I think we haven't heard anything about Urban Meyer possibly coaching the Lions. At first it was like, hey, Jaguars, Lions, Jaguars, Lions. The last week and a half, it's just Jaguars, Jaguars, Jaguars. I think Chris Spielman knows that it's probably not good for Urban Meyer's psychological well-being to be an NFL head coach, because if you get tormented as a dominant
why are the Jaguars
college coach,
why might the Jaguars hire him? Do they not know this? Do they not look at his resume?
Listen, Peter, the thing I love the most about the National Football League, beyond the actual playing of the games, the intrigue and the palace drama, you've got owners of these franchises who know a hell of a lot less than you or I do about how it all works. And now Shad Khan's owned that team for 10 years. Well, but do they care? Do they care? They know best. They know best. They know what's right for their team, and they know what's right for their business. And frankly, Peter, look, maybe at this point in the overall life of the Jacksonville Jaguars, it means more to have Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence than it does to actually become a team that wins 12 games a season or 13 games a season. You've tried a bunch of other different things. Let's try this. Let's fill our stadium. Let's sell tickets. Let's become more financially viable than we've been, at least for a couple of years. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We move on to the next guy. So I think there's...
All right, here's my 2 points about that.
All right.
Here's my 2 points about that. There's an old saying in coach chasing, and that is winning the press conference. Some owners really want to win the press conference. Okay? Who cares? Really, who cares? Secondly,
Peter,
are there
here's
people writing letters to the Florida Times Union? Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Now, are there people writing letters to the Florida Times Union? Oh, my God, give us Urban Meyer. Oh, he's going to come and be a savior. Please, please, Urban Meyer. I mean, are the fans demanding it?
Well, I guess my point is this. They do want to win the press conference. The owners want to win the press conference because winning the press conference means selling tickets, generating excitement, generating coverage, selling jerseys, all the things that go along with making money. At the core, these are 32 for-profit businesses, and they don't wear that on their sleeves.
You don't sell jerseys of the head coach.
Well, I know, but if you get a head coach that gets people excited, then that sells jerseys. You're going to sell jerseys of Trevor Lawrence. It's the combination of the two. Anyway, we got
Trevor
more to get
Lawrence
through.
Would sell jerseys if the head coach was Little Orphan Annie.
You or me. All right. Who's the favorite to land Eric Bieniemy? We talked about the Texans not being interested. The other 5 openings have interest in him. Where does he go?
I mean, if I had to guess, this is an absolute guess, I would guess the Chargers, because the Chargers want a guy who knows everything about the quarterback and the head coach of their new arch rivals and the team they have to beat for the next decade, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Give me the Chargers and Eric Bieniemy.
Hey, in my view, that's the most attractive opening because you have a quarterback there who has proven already that he's a great quarterback, and they've got a lot of great players, and I don't feel like they're that far away from being a truly competitive and contending team. Which team, and I think I know the answer to this based upon our prior discussion in the show about Deshaun Watson, which team is most likely to make a head-scratching hire?
Houston. I don't even know what it'll be, but unless they get pressured now, heavily pressured into going after Eric Bieniemy, I think they're going to make a head-scratching hire, and I don't even know who it is.
Surprise name to look out for as the pieces begin to fall into place.
Well, I would say that a surprise name to look out for is somebody who we really don't know yet. Somebody who has got to emerge after these rounds of the playoffs. I mean, I don't even know who I would say other than I've got 2 on my list. One is Brian Schottenheimer, because I think he's getting more and more respect around the league. And the other one, even though he's gotten some love, is Brandon Staley. I think Brandon Staley would be my little outsider's view of a guy who's got the best chance to get a head coaching job in this league.
Isn't it amazing that Dennis Allen, the Saints defensive coordinator, can't get a sniff? Isn't that amazing to you?
The whole New Orleans thing is amazing to me. Carmichael, Campbell on offense, Dennis Allen on defense. The 2 great guys in their front office, Jeff Ireland, Terry Fontenot. It's almost like, Sean Payton lords above all, and also Mickey Loomis, obviously. But everybody just looks at them as the Sean Payton Saints, and, Mickey Loomis sort of being the stage manager of this team and setting the stage for everything good that happens. And I'll just tell you, I've had some discussions over the last couple of years with people at that organization who asked the same question that you just asked. How in the world can't Dan Campbell and Pete Carmichael even get to first base in the interview process? And you mentioned Dennis Allen after the job with that defense. I agree.
For me, the surprise name to look out for is Marvin Lewis. Even though he's on the radar screen, I don't think anyone believes he's being taken seriously as a candidate anywhere. The guy was with the Bengals for an extended period of time. He took them to the playoffs 9 times. He thrived amid the dysfunction that is inherent to that organization when it comes to being extremely careful with money. And he's a stabilizing force. The Jets interviewed him yesterday, and Jets fans were like, oh, give me a break. No, give me a break. This guy's better than anyone we've had since Rex Ryan, and he's probably better than Rex Ryan, Peter.
I agree, Mike. I think Marvin Lewis is an underrated guy in this process. In my opinion, when I look at him with the 2 words that you just mentioned, stabilizing force. He wouldn't be a popular hire, but I think he'd be a good hire.
All right, that was the Speed Round brought to you by Verizon 5G built right. When we return, our super wild card edition of the Show Me Something draft. We'll be back with more right after this.
Brought to you by Verizon 5G built right.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.